Peoples Congress, Ripco. The attention of the Rivers Ijaw Peoples Congress, Ripco, has been drawn to several misguided and inflammatory statements recently made in both the print and electronic media. These statements threaten chaos and unrest in Rivers State, particularly in response to the Supreme Court judgment on the ongoing Rivers State crisis. While Ripco ordinarily will not engage in public dispute over the opinions of other Ijaw people, we feel compelled to clarify some points and correct the misconception being propagated. Firstly, it is important to note that every citizen is constitutionally entitled to express his or her views and opinions. However, we must remind everyone that when two parties present their case before a court of competent jurisdiction, there are only two possible outcomes. Either the judgment will favor one party or the other. The Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, has rendered its decision, bringing to an end the legal conflict that has disrupted the peace and stability of Rivers State for far too long. We express our sincere gratitude to God for this resolution, and we urge all Rivers people to support and encourage the implementation of the judgment as handed down by the Supreme Court. However, it is deeply troubling that certain individuals, including Professor Benjamin Okaba, the president of the Ijaw National Congress, INC, among others, have resorted to threat of violence and destruction, including targeting vital oil and gas infrastructure in Rivers State and the Niger Delta region. These calls for violence are not only reckless, but are profoundly misguided. It is wanting to disagree with the judicial decision. Still, it is entirely different to resort destructive and unlawful actions that threaten the lives and livelihood of innocent people in the Niger Delta region and Nigeria as a whole. We wish to remind those making these unguided utterances that we live in a democratic dispensation governed by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which enshrines the rule of law. The Supreme Court has the final authority to interpret the Constitution and the country's laws, and its decisions are final and binding on all. Those who call for war, destruction, and civil disobedience will be reminded that Rivers State belongs to all its people, and no individual or group has the right to impose their will through violence and terror. It is in this light of this development, Ripco feels it is necessary to provide the following 10 clarifications. 1, the Supreme Court judgment is not based on ethnicity. The Supreme Court judgment was not based on ethnic consideration or the notion of the Ijaws opposing another ethnic group. It was rendered in strict accordance with the Constitution and the rule of law. This was a judicial intervention in a legal dispute, not an ethnic or political contest. It is crucial that we understand and respect the supremacy of the law. 2, Rivers State is a multi-ethnic state. Contrary to the narrative promoted by certain individuals, Rivers State is not a monolithic Ijaw state. It is a vibrant and diverse ethnic entity, home to the Ijaws, the Ikweres, the Ogonis, Oyibo, Eleme, Ogba, Eche, Egbema, Ndoni, Ekpeye, and many others. This diversity among the people in Rivers State is its strength, and we must all embrace this diversity for the collective progress and peace of our state. We should not permit these misguided and selfish, self-proclaimed Ijaw leaders to take the law into their hands simply because the state is currently governed by an Ijaw son who is acting in a similar manner. 3, the issue of impeachment requires a political solution. The recent fears regarding the impeachment of the governor of Rivers State, His Excellency Gov Fubara, raised by Professor Benjamin Okaba and his cohort, are unfounded and premature. As the State House of Assembly has not declared such an intention. However, even if the House were to express this view, it is not an issue that should be resolved through threats of violence and disruption. Instead, it demands a political solution that must be sought through constitutional and legal means. If there are legitimate concerns about governance or the implementation of the Supreme Court judgment, this should be addressed within the established legal and political frameworks rather than through inflammatory rhetorics and unlawful actions. 5, the unconstitutionality of external interferences. At the onset of this crisis, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, anticipating the outcomes, intervened. At that time, Professor Okaba and his cohort criticized the intervention, labeling it unconstitutional. The president's intervention at that time was criticized for overlapping the bounds of the Constitution. We must now ask, will it be constitutionally appropriate for the president to intervene again in a matter where the Supreme Court, an independent branch of government, has already made its final decision? It is essential for those advocating for president's intervention to revise or override the Supreme Court ruling to understand that it will be a direct challenge to the independence of the judiciary and the rule of law. 5, support the Supreme Court judgment that favors Governor Fubara and his team. It is the belief of Ripco that if the Supreme Court judgment had favored Governor Sim and his team, the Right Honorable Martin Amewule and his team would have succumbed to Wise Council and vacated their seat to allow peace and stability to reign in Rivers State. Thus, Governor Fubara's attempt at further escalating the crisis is an executive rascality beyond the imaginations of Wise Council. Governor Fubara should note again once more that the decision of the Supreme Court is final and binding. 6, Professor Benjamin Okaba should advise Governor Fubara to implement the judgment and not to disrupt the peace of Rivers State further. In the spirit of peace and stability, we, members of the Rivers Ijaw Peoples Congress, and fellow Ijaw brothers with Professor Benjamin Okaba, do implore him and his co-travelers to advise His Excellency, Governor Fubara, to promptly implement the Supreme Court judgment. Only through the full execution of the court's decision can peace and order be restored in Rivers State. The people of Rivers State deserve nothing less than the swift and transparent implementation of the rule of law. 7, the general public is to note that Professor Benjamin Okaba and his co-travelers are not speaking for all Rivers Ijaw people. The general public is invited to note that Professor Benjamin Okaba and his associates, who are threatening with hail and brimstone in Rivers State, do not speak for all Rivers Ijaw people, as there is no other formidable Ijaw group besides the Rivers Ijaw Peoples Congress. Therefore, the public is advised to disregard these misguided and provocative remarks and comment from them. 8, Ripco support the Supreme Court judgment. As a responsible and law-abiding organization, the Rivers Ijaw Peoples Congress stands firm in supporting the Supreme Court's judgment. We believe that this judgment is a critical step towards bringing stability, peace, and justice to Rivers State. We commend the Supreme Court for its wisdom in resolving this matter, and we encourage all citizens to accept the judgment and work together for the betterment of Rivers State. Ripco congratulates the Speaker and to the 6 members of the Rivers House of Assembly. We also use this medium to congratulate the Right Honorable Martin Chike Amewule, DSROS, the Speaker of the Rivers Ijaw Assembly, and all 26 members of the Assembly for their unwavering dedication to upholding the law and promoting peace in our state. Their commitment to governance and the rule of law is commendable, and we stand with them in their effort to ensure the full implementation of the Supreme Court's judgment. 10, we are committed to the security and safety of our Commonwealth. As law-abiding citizens of Nigeria, the members of Ripco are committed to safeguarding the peace, stability, and prosperity of our state and country. We will continue to support the federal government's initiative to maintain law and order. We, the Rivers Ijaw Peoples Congress members, will not hesitate to stand with the security agencies to fish out any individual or groups that aim to undermine the collective well-being through violence, illegal activities, or attempt to damage our nation's oil and gas infrastructure. In conclusion, we urge all well-meaning Ijaw people to remain calm, law-abiding, and supportive of the democratic process. The Supreme Court has spoken, and it is our duty as citizens to respect its decision. We must all work together for the continued development and unity of Rivers State, rejecting any action that seeks to divide us or bring harm to our communities. Thank you, and may God bless you.